I just don't believe interactive whiteboards have a place in the classroom now that we have devices and screen sharing.
I appreciate your honesty in sharing that with me, and I'd love to have a more in-depth conversation with you about that. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
So tell me more about why you feel that way.
Well, to be honest, our boards aren't being used effectively. We put them in tons of classrooms and they're just being used as glorified projectors.
Why do you think that is?
Well, let me think about that. We offered a lot of PD, but I don't think it mattered as much because the tool was tying the teacher to the front of the room. We also had some challenges with hardware and then some downtime challenges, and then also the tools that weren't reliable, so we gave up on them. Given that the tool hasn't been effective, it's hard to justify buying more.
You bring up some great points, and they sound very similar to what I've heard from other districts. In fact, in talking with customers, I can usually group their challenges into 3 areas of concern. The first one would be professional development. Second, there's been a pedagogical shift in the classroom, and sometimes there's technical or hardware limitation. Do those categories capture all of your concerns?
Yes, I think so.
Is there anything else you'd like me to include?
No, that's it.
Okay. I'd like to explore each one of these a bit more with you. Is that okay?
Sure.
Let's start with professional development. You mentioned that you provided a lot of professional development when you first implemented your boards. Tell me more about what that looked like.
Well, we funded a few SMART certified trainers and adopted a train the trainer model, but we've hosted some monthly drop-in sessions. We've had a lot of interest at first, but then it dropped down gradually.
It sounds like you provide a lot of support during the initial implementation. How was curriculum involved in all of that?
Well, they weren't really. The curriculum trainers definitely used the interactive boards, but they didn't integrate them into their programs. We had just adopted a new curriculum, and they were really consumed with the new project.
I understand. So did that impact the interactive whiteboards being adopted?
Well, I suppose it didn't help things. If we were more united back then, perhaps we'd have seen a better result.
This is such a common situation for districts. When smartboards were being adopted, EdTech was still in its infancy and not often integrated with curriculum. Many districts today have come full circle and have a much closer tie between EdTech and curriculum, which leads to better adoption of any technology tool in the classroom. This is a good segue into the pedagogical challenges that I hear about. When did you start your interactive whiteboard adoption?
2008.
And what was your typical classroom? What did that classroom look like?
Very traditionally, seats in rows, teachers driving, etc.
When did the vision for a more student-centered approach of a classroom become a tangible reality for you?
I guess around 2011 when we funded our first one-to-one pilot. It went pretty well, and we started to allocate funds to purchase better infrastructure and devices. If we fast forward to today, we nearly have about 60% of our classrooms with a one-to-one device, and we have a BYOD initiative adoption district-wide.
What type of training did tech and curriculum offer to develop that type of learning environment?
Well, by that time, we had a very specific EdTech department that worked closely with curriculum. So our PD was focused more around using devices, project-based learning, and student-centered environments.
So do you think that helped improve the effective use of the devices?
Absolutely. The principals got behind it, curriculum got behind it, and we had a pretty successful implementation, despite our challenges.
That's amazing. In talking with other customers, we've come to the conclusion that because our tools were introduced during a time when teacher-directed instruction was still the norm, the tools were implemented in that same manner. We've actually begun working with districts now on ways to effectively use interactive displays in a more student-centered approach. I'd love to share more of this information with you if you're interested.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, before we have that conversation, we still haven't talked about the other challenges with using interactive displays effectively. So I'd like to continue that conversation, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Okay, so let's think about the tools your teachers were given. Was it a single-touch interactive whiteboard, a projector, and notebook software?
Yes.
All great tools, but with limitations that don't exist today. Let's start with the interactive whiteboard. It was single touch. It encouraged teachers to use the board instead of students. I'd walk into classrooms and see signs on boards that said, "Do not touch." Today's interactive panels are multi-touch, which encourages students to collaborate at the board. Additionally, because they don't have projectors and have built-in computing, many educators are putting them on stands so they can change the environment as the instructional needs change. And the embedded computing allows students to use the tool without accessing the teacher computer, making it easier to use the interactive display as a tool for small group student collaboration. Finally, they are much easier to manage because they do not have a projector. No bulbs going dim, fan noise, projector cleaning, etc. Fewer moving parts, and with a 50,000 hour life cycle, this means less downtime for a teacher. How do you feel improved collaboration and greater reliability might impact adoption of this technology?
I could see it might make a difference, but I'm still hesitant.
Would you mind sharing your hesitation with me?
Sure. I just still think that the tools in the classroom allow for collaboration to happen without a board.
I can understand that. Let's talk about the software for a minute. Software has a major impact on instruction and adoption. When we think about the traditional smartboard software, many districts think about previous versions of notebook software. It's a great lesson creation and delivery tool, but admittedly, it was primarily a teacher-directed tool. As devices became more accessible and learning environments changed, we introduced the Smart Learning Suite. This software suite includes Notebook, but now includes additional tools that encourages students with devices and offer an online project-based learning environment. When you combine the new software and new hardware, teachers are finding they have the tools that they can easily integrate and move into a more student-centered approach.
Okay, I can see how that might make a difference for some, specifically my elementary teachers. They're the ones most comfortable with the small group instruction, but I'm not sure it'll fit for all of my high school teachers.
You know what's great about our tools as well is that they are flexible and modular. Teachers can choose the solution that best fits their different classroom environments. And we understand that it's not just about finding the right tools for different classrooms, but finding the right tools for different teaching and learning styles that occur in a single classroom.
I like that approach.
I've prepared a presentation for you that discusses how our tools can be used in different learning environments and research to support the use of these instructional tools. Do you still have time for me to share that with you?
Yes, I'd be eager to see it.